Hey coaches, so I'm going to be starting a bit of a series to kind of help you guys with any type of data validation, conditional formatting, any type of Excel/Google Sheets related stuff, maybe some design stuff as well. But I was kind of inspired by the Stick and Ball TV Dugout Chatter last week on Thursday of technology featuring Dylan Mazzo, who's in the Angels organization, and Ryan Hunt, who's in the Yankees organization. So check that out if you can. I highly recommend it. But one thing they did mention in that call was data validation and conditional formatting. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to use data validation and conditional formatting and how it can best optimize your program with whatever it is that you need to do. So we're going to use kind of a pitching example in this case, and we'll get started. So first, we're just going to type in column names. So we're going to say date, player, we'll say pitch, result, or I should say results, result, and then velocity. So now that we have those data, or those data points, if you will. So what we're going to do for date is actually we can simply just put =date, and it converts it into a date. So we'll put today's date, so 2026-25. Enter, and we can just drag this and copy it down for a certain amount of players. So now we'll get right into data validation with players. As you can see, I have a pitchers tab, and what we'll do there is we'll go to data validation, and our cell range is sheet 1, B2 to B. So that way it selects every single row instance in column B as a data validation. And we will select list from a range, and we will say pictures. And the way to call a sheet in Google Sheets is say pictures exclamation point, and we will say A2 to, we'll say A10 or A6. Actually, there's only 5 pictures. And then on invalid data, instead of showing a warning, we will reject input. So that way, if you input a wrong pitcher's name or things along those lines, it won't accept it. So then we'll hit save, and you can see these drop downs appear. So now we have our 5 pitchers. So we have Nuke LaLoosh, Billy Chappell, Steve Nebraska, Bingo Long, and Rick Vaughn. So we'll start with Nuke LaLoosh, and then to extend columns, you actually double click on the end of the column to be able to see that. Now you can add data validation for pitches again. Just do data validation. For this example, I won't use it right now, but essentially I just type in pitch, fastball, result. This is where we can actually add more data validation. So data validation, we'll say sheet 1, D2 to D, and this time we'll say list of items. And we'll say ball or strike. And yes, we want to show the drop-down list and reject input. So then we hit save, and now only balls or strikes appear. So we'll say fastball, ball, velo, 98. And then we can actually also add a location. So what I'm going to do here is add another data validation simply by doing F2 to F, and we'll do a number. And we'll say between 1 and 14. Now you're probably guessing, oh, why are we using 1 to 14? Shortly, I will add a photo of a strike zone that was pulled from Baseball Savant. Simply, how you search that is just go on Google, go to images, search Baseball Savant strike zones. So now we'll go to insert image over cells, and you can just simply go to browse, go in your browser like I said. Make sure you search that Baseball Savant strike zone. I gotta find mine here, but go right here, click on it, it uploads, and boom. Now you have a strike zone. Now you just click on it once, and you can kind of move it over. So now you can have a kind of a strike zone. So let's say you're charting a bullpen. This is a great way to see it. So you can use it for either pitcher's view or catcher's view, whatever you want. In this case, we'll just do pitcher's view since it's kind of easier seeing off a screen. So we'll say that Nuke LaLoosh threw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball for a ball, and we'll say the location was 11. So we click on that, or we type in that, and we got it. But now, because of that data validation that we had between 1 and 14, we can say, let's do 15. And it'll say, oh, there's a problem. You can't put 15 in there because we set that data validation of 1 to 14. So that's pretty fun stuff. And then again, you can just select from drop down, or if you have the same picture, just select the bottom right corner and just drag his name down. So we'll just drag this down, and then we'll just keep saying, fastball. Say he threw, a couple fastballs, and then a curveball, a changeup, and then he just alternated between the two. So we can drag these two, and it'll just say the same thing. So we'll say 10 pitches, and then ball, ball, strike, strike, and then strike, 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 strike. And then you can, input your velo. So we'll say 97, 97, 99, 97, 78, 85, 79, 84. And then you can, input any kind of location. So we'll say 12, we'll say 13, then we'll say 4, 4, 3, 5, 7, 8. So now that we have that data, we can actually create our own adjustments. So first we're going to rename this. Instead of calling it sheet 1, we'll just say master. And then we will add a new sheet by hitting this plus column. And we'll just say, we'll rename it to LaLoosh. And then we will go back to the master sheet, copy and paste these formulas, these column names. Great, we have that. Now we can go in, now we can actually get that data and automatically pull it into the LaLoosh file. So anytime there's a Nuke LaLoosh player on the master file, it will automatically go into this file. One way we're going to do this is we're actually going to do a filter function. How you do that is equal sign filter. Then our range is, we'll select the master sheet. How you do that is you select the sheet name, so it's master in this case, exclamation point, we'll say A to F. So we're selecting all of column A to column F. And then we'll say comma, and then we'll again refer to master, B to B, which that essentially means we're looking in the player column of the master file, and we'll say equals, in parentheses, Nuke LaLoosh. And boom, we have that data of all of that. So that's also pretty cool. And if you want to add that again, just go back to the master file, Control C, and then right here, Control V. So that way you can see a location. Now what I'm going to do is add, say, conditional formatting. So what we'll do here for column D is we'll go to Format, Conditional Formatting. We'll apply a range D2 to say D1000, which is the max of conditional formatting of a given basic sheet. So D2 to D1000, and we'll say format cells, and we'll say text is exactly ball. And we'll change that format to red, and we'll say balls are not good. So we'll hit done, and now you can see that it goes red. Now we'll add another rule, and again select the same range, D2 to D1000. Text is exactly, and then strike. And we'll make sure that that's green. So now we can have red for negative, green for positive in this case, of balls and strikes. So I think that's pretty cool. Like, check it out. Now you can kind of quickly see, okay, he threw strikes here, he threw balls here, so on and so forth. And now within the master file, let's say we'll add more guys. So we'll add Bingo Long for a few. We won't input any data, but it doesn't change for Nuke Lelouch because that filter is added. So we'll actually change, we'll add a new sheet, rename it long, again, add the columns. So date to location, just Control C, Control V, or Command if you use a Mac. We'll go to our master, go back to the long file, again, use that filter, master, A to F, and then we'll say master, exclamation point, B to B equals Bingo Long. So we have that data. We'll add a date. So let's just add 6/25. Things along those lines. But now we have Bingo Long's data in there just for Bingo Long. That's pretty cool. Now what we're going to do next is I'm going to add kind of some special features in the G and H columns, so that way if you decide you want to check certain things on a specific date, you can do it quickly that way as well. What we're going to do next is we're going to add those custom columns in. So what we're going to do is we're going to add date, balls, strikes, strike percentage, fastballs, change-ups, curveballs, then we'll say high pitches, middle pitches, low pitches, average fastball, and max fastball. We'll extend this out just a tad. And then for feature styles, we'll change the font. So let's do Oswald, and we will add whatever color you want. We'll just add a light blue background. And then I also want to bold it. So there we go. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go back to the master file. And we're going to change some of this to June 26th. And the reason why I do that is just to show you a basic example. So we'll just input more pitches, so a couple fastballs, a couple curveballs, a couple change-ups, and then a couple more fastballs. So then we'll go strike, a couple strikes, ball, ball, strike, and we'll add a few more strikes. Then for velo, 97, 97, 79, 79, 86, 86, 98, 99. Then for location, again, we're just, for basic example, I'll just add location. We'll say 13, 13, 7, 8, 9. When we go back to our Lelouch file, see it automatically adds. The validation is automatically, or the conditional formatting is automatically set. Now we're going to add a date validation. And you may not see it at first, but you'll be able to see it soon thereafter. So we can either go to data validation or right click, go all the way to the bottom, data validation. And instead, go to our criteria, we'll say date, we'll say is valid date, and we'll say save. Just double click and it allows you to select the date. So that's actually pretty fun stuff. Now for balls, simply you can add formulas in here to count balls and strikes. One way to do it is you can just say count if, and our range is D to D. And real quick with the $, so this is absolute versus relative reference. This is an absolute reference, meaning if you copy that formula stays the same. So it will automatically say D2 to D, rather than if you drag down without the $, it will actually say E3 to E in this case. So we'll say that, and then our criteria is ball. So there, now you have 5 balls. And in this case, go down here, just copy or slide the formula down, but instead change this to strikes. So now 12 strikes. And then you can add strike percentage, so H3 divided by H3 plus H2. And then you can click on this and just go format as a percent. You can change it to 1 decimal point, 2 decimal points, whatever you want. But now you have those filters. So what we're going to do next is actually add it by the corresponding date. So I'm going to double click this, select the date, and now nothing appears, but wait until you do this. So within the count if formula, we're going to do a filter. And we're going to keep that same range, so D2 to D, but this time we're going to say H1, so H1 referring to that date input, so right now it's June 25th. We'll say equals A2 colon A. So it selects that A2 to A range, which is that date range. And we're essentially just saying ball. So we put that other parenthesis and boom. Now it reduces to 3. Now let's select June 26th. Now it changes to 2 balls. And so what I'm going to do is just copy this down and change it to strike. Now we can see the differences. So his strike percentage on June 25th was 66.7%. His strikes percentage on June 26th was 75%. So really cool stuff. That way you can break it down and go by different dates. You can see if a pitcher is off. But let's go ahead and fill in the other columns as well with these similar formulas. So I'm actually going to copy this and paste it in here. Again, we're just doing count if parenthesis filter parenthesis. But this time, instead of saying D2 to D, we're going to lock in C2 to C, which is the pitch type. And then keep the same H1 equals A2 to A, which is the date range. And then we'll change this to fastball. So you can see how many fastballs he threw. So again, select different dates. So he threw 5 fastballs on June 25th, 4 fastballs on June 26th. And then I will just copy this down for the other 3. And we'll change this to changeup and change this to curveball. So again, count if filter that range, which in this case is the pitch column, so C2 to C, which that's the first instance, and then comma H1 equals A2 to A, because we are filtering by the date you select, and then comma outside that filter parentheses what pitch type, so in this case curveball. So this is actually pretty fun stuff. We will get right into our code, and simply how to do this is we will copy and paste this from earlier. So instead of saying curveballs now, we'll put it in middle pitches, and here's where the difference lies. So now change C2 to C to F2 to F because we want the location column. The H1 equals A2 to A stays the same, but now we're going to add 4. Then we're actually going to do it 2 more times to account for the 3 pitches in the middle of the zone. So 4, 5, add another plus sign, 6. So we're essentially saying count if filter ones that are either a location of 4, 5, or 6, and then count the amount of locations based upon the date that you input. So we'll hit enter. We can see that there's 3 on June 26th, as well as 3 on June 25th, 2 4s and a 5. So what I'll actually do is I have the other formulas pasted, just because it's a little bit longer to write, but copy and paste in here. Sometimes you get a weird font, that's fine, just hit reset. But I'll just break this down real quick. So essentially we're just adding count if filter 2 plus count if filter 1 plus count if filter 3 plus count if filter 11 plus count at filter 12. So it's taking all the high pitches 1, 2, 3, 11, and 12. And then for low pitches, it's essentially the same thing, but low pitches. So it's counting and adding all of those locations together. And again, it might give you a weird font, but that's fine. So then what we'll move on to next is the average fastball on a given date. So I will copy and paste this and break this down real quick for you. So essentially it's doing the same thing, except instead of a count if, we're doing average if. So again, average if the filter from C2 to C, so in column C, equals the date, filter by that date, and then we want to average fastballs, so our average range is E2 to E, so the average velocity. Getting into our max fastball is a little bit different. Instead of getting the max fastball by date, we'll get the pitcher's overall max fastball. And how you do that, simply say max ifs. And our range is E2 to E1000, because we're selecting the velo range. So E1000. And then our criteria range is C2 to C1000. So again, absolute reference those just to make sure you get that right formula, and then we'll say fastball. Put a parenthesis, so E2, E1000, that selects the velo column, then comma, C2 to C1000 selects the pitch column, and then the last comma, in quotes, fastball, will subset that data by just the max fastball. And we can see that Nucleus's max fastball was 99 miles per hour. So thank you so much for watching this, coaches. I really hope that this was a good thing to use. I will share this with you guys in the YouTube link in the description below. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. My Twitter is at RobertFrey40, RobertFrey 40. If you have any questions, and I can feel free to send you some of my other resources. I did something similar to this for the Palm Springs Collegiate League last year, as well as did something for this for the 2018 MLB draft of unsigned players, where we use conditional formatting, data validation, things along those lines. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I want to help you coaches get better with kind of this tech stuff. And again, I highly recommend, if you can, watch that Stick and Ball TV of Dylan Mazzo and Ryan Hunt using technology. They're both great follows on Twitter, and you can just continue to grow as coaches learning from those two guys. So I highly recommend reaching out to them as well. But again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.